Can you believe the last episode that was uploaded to YouTube was 3.5, nearly 4 months ago?
Oh, crap. Oh, my goodness. No, actually, I can't believe that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. Jody just said we shouldn't restart this vlog when we're totally all in the flow and everything's happening and we've made our decisions and all that sort of stuff. We should actually start it now. When we're raw and real, really vulnerable, and a bit of a freaking mess, to be completely honest with you right now. These last few months have been hell for both of us. So much has taken place. I always remember reading something about, the biggest things in life that, cause people stress. Obviously a death of a family member, moving house, changing jobs, like just those big things, getting a divorce. We're not getting a divorce. But just all those things that are just such major life things. We've had probably about 3 or 4 of those in the last couple of months that have just descended on us.
You just said we're not getting a divorce. I'm going to be completely honest. I did have to contemplate that for a little bit because I was just a mess. It feels weird to sit here sort of laughing and smiling, but to wind back the clock a little bit, going back to the last episode, I think we were saying goodbye to you on your way to Australia.
I went to Australia, had a great time.
Yes.
Had a really good time with everyone.
And you filmed some footage to put into another episode, but that never
eventuated. So when I got home, I was away for 3 or 4 weeks. When I got home, Jody we were literally back together again for 3 weeks.
It wasn't even that long. I think it was only a couple of weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we get a phone call to say that Jody's dad is probably about to pass away.
Yeah, and I think it was, the whole situation was interesting because I was supposed to have gone to Australia with Nat for her mum and dad's 60th wedding anniversary, but we decided to hold off on it. A little bit financial, a little bit of having made the decision that we were going to pack up the house and leave and start this RV life and all these things that, started unraveling, I guess, from the moment that Trump got inaugurated and he absolutely crashed the
inauguration
crypto market, which was what we were really relying on for, helping finance everything. So I said, okay, I'm not going to go, just Nat go. And we even cancelled. We had a 1-week free holiday in Kauai in Hawaii. And that was going to be sort of our trip on the way back that we did. So we cancelled all of that previously. So whether that was intuition, I don't know, but it all would have fallen over anyway had I gone with you at that time because, Dad very quickly, his everything changed and I was able to get on a plane.
Literally, we got the phone call, I think at 7 at night, our time.
And then I was
10 o'clock at night, we're literally booking flights and a bus for her to get on at 5 o'clock the next morning. That's how quick this was.
Yeah, and I had pretty much no sleep.
Yeah.
Bus down to Mexico City, that takes a good chunk of time. Fly up to LA to...
Fiji.
Did I do Fiji on the way? No, I didn't do it on the way ever. Anyway,
whatever.
Got to Australia.
Anyway, finally got there.
I got to Australia and in time and was able to see my dad and he recognised me and knew me and all the family was there together and I think the most important part was being able to be there for my mum because it was tough. She lost the love of her life a lot earlier than she should have done and my 2 brothers and sister have all got, families and businesses, so they were able to be there as much as they could. And then after Dad passed, they all had to go back to their life. So I was super grateful that I was able to stay there with Mum.
That was a big thing.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing about having, I'll say a nomadic life. We haven't been really nomadic, but just that freedom lifestyle to be able to actually just pack up and go. It's in such short notice, but you were the only one that could actually stay on with your mum as well. Everyone else has their own businesses. And, okay, if they were employed, then they probably would have got, bereavement leave and could take leave, but they're actually self-employed. So it really does go to show that, self-employment is not everything that it's cut out to be. It's really tough.
It's not.
It's actually more tough than anything else.
And I think the beauty of it as well was that I didn't have a return ticket. I could be completely open and flexible. And that was primarily thanks to a friend of ours putting us onto his Delta buddy pass, where you still have to pay for a flight. You're on standby, but you still pay for the flight. So I had that sort of up my sleeve. Funnily enough, I didn't end up using it. But we had to organise, when we were going to do the celebration of life, and I had to help Mum through, kind of a lot of stuff, obviously, that if anybody's, lost a family member, you know what you've got to go through. And, so I was there for 3.5 weeks, which meant that Nat was back here in Mexico, kind of trying to continue on with the process of selling our stuff and downsizing and working out, where we're going to go to and what we're going to do. We had a flight booked for middle of April. It was like a day after your birthday, to fly over to Cabo to do our first house sit, like getting us back into the routine. So Mum kept saying to me, how long can you stay? And I said, look, I've got an absolute hard deadline by this flight to get to Cabo, but preferably if I could get back a bit earlier and try and help Nat with the pack up. So it was all good. I was able to get back literally with
we had a week,
5-6 days until we had to go, and it was crazy land, absolute crazy land, trying to figure out. We couldn't sell everything. We had to figure out some storage. Thank you so much to our bestie Angelito, who had space in a wardrobe to be able to put our things that we couldn't get rid of until we just made our decision of what we were going to be doing. And then we just came over here. We're here in San Miguel de Allende. It's a little bit of a house sitting mecca here. We'd been to the house that we went to before. We were happy to go there because May in this part of Mexico, in central Mexico, is really hot.
Yes.
And our little rental house was definitely not going to cut the mustard second year in a row because it was stinking hot last year. So we knew where we were going to go was going to be, cooler and easier. But we were only together for not even 10 days.
Yeah, then we had to split up between 2 house sits. This is the second house sit, so I took this on for 5 weeks while Jodie was still up the road doing the other one. So we literally have not spent that much time with each other, and I think that has been really tough with going through everything. Because in the mix of all of that, in fact, on the day of Jodie's dad's memorial, I found out that, well, to back it up a little bit, I had a funny turn one morning while I was at home by myself, and I just bent down, and when I came back up, I couldn't catch my breath. I just felt really dizzy. I felt like I was going to fall over, and I was like, oh shit, okay, am I having a heart attack or a stroke? So I ended up ringing. I just sat down for a little while. I went downstairs and I just sat down for a bit, and then I was like, something's still not right. So I ended up ringing Jen, one of our best friends, who was in Guanajuato, who didn't have a car.
Thankfully.
She didn't have a car, but she had to catch a taxi over. So by the time she came over, it was actually another, I don't know, probably good 3/4 of an hour or so. So I said, I think I need to go to the hospital. Like, I'm just not sure what's going on here. So I went to the hospital. They did x-rays, and the lady just sort of said, I had to go and see the doctor after that, and she just sort of said, you've got scoliosis in your back.
Which we knew.
And I was like, well, yeah, I've known that for years. So
that's where your back...
That's a curve in your spine going left to right. So I was like, okay, well, that's not really revealing about why we've had a funny turn. So anyway, so then she gives me a bunch of numbers for orthopedic surgeons or doctors. So on there, funny enough, was the doctor that I saw, the surgeon that I saw for my leg. So when I broke my leg 3 years earlier, when a dog ran into it, he actually did the operation, and he put the titanium plate in and the screws and all that sort of stuff. So I ended up texting him, and he said, come and see me at 6:30 tonight. Where in the world could you actually get to see an orthopedic surgeon on the same day after a funny turn to actually talk to him? And amazing. So just incredible. So I did go and see him, and he said, I want to send you for a bone density scan and just a few things. So he tested out a few things and stuff. He said, just not sure what's going on. So, and the x-rays weren't very clear. So, because I was in so much pain. So anyway, he wanted to get a CT scan. So I did all that, and then I went back to see him. And it turns out that I actually have fractures in my back. 3 of my vertebrae were fractured, and also down the bottom in the curve. So my spine not only goes left to right, but it also curves quite a lot. Like it's
called sway back, but
𝗪𝗧𝗪, yeah, is the actual name. So I've got a lot going on in my back, and it's not great. So when I had lifted a 20-litre water bottle for Jen, funnily enough, months earlier, I actually had fractured my back. So that's why I was in so much pain for so long, but I never knew what was going on. Anyway, so all of this was just coming out, and I ended up going for the DEXA scan as well, and which is the bone density scan. And while I'm laying on the table, he said, so have you had a bone density scan before? And I went, no. And he goes, oh. And I was like, oh shit. I said, like, is that really bad? Is it bad? And he went, yep. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I was laying on the table, and I said, because my mum has osteoporosis. She has so many things wrong with her, unfortunately. But one of them is osteoporosis, and she's really hunched over. And I said, do I have osteoporosis? And he went, yeah, actually you have advanced osteoporosis. And I was like, oh, freaking hell. So it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I don't take medications for anything. We're actually pretty healthy. We haven't seen a doctor literally since, I couldn't even tell you when, like a dozen years.
You break your leg.
Except from breaking my leg. We haven't actually seen a doctor probably in a dozen years, no joke. So it was really quite shocking. I came downstairs. I was by myself getting this news. I came downstairs and I got in the car, and it just hit me, and I just burst into tears. And I was just like, freaking hell, my life is over. Like, I could literally break a bone at any time, sort of thing. Like, it was just, all these things were going through my head, and I was just, I don't know, just really distraught. Like, it felt like everything was over. That was it. Like, Jody would probably leave because I wouldn't be able to do anything anymore. I can't go RVing that we'd been talking about. I can't travel again. I can't pick up things, like just simple stuff. And I was like, oh, shitbox. So I ended up going back to see the surgeon again, and he was really good, actually. I guess they're trained to do that, but they're sort of like, oh, it should be right sort of thing, you know, like, you know, it'll never be 100%, obviously, but we can help you with things. And so he's talked about medications and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, I want to do a bit of exploring first about, I don't want to jump straight into medications. So
Nat, being an all or nothing girl as she is, has researched to the hilt,
yeah,
and got herself onto, you know, all the best supplements. Maybe it's working out. We'll find out tomorrow if it's been a little bit of kind of overkill. Not tomorrow, on Monday.
Yeah.
It may have been a little bit too much going in on sort of looking at how to build the bone density up again. But I think between, you know, this news, me getting back and being where we are now, it's been a huge process of acceptance and reality checking to sort of go, okay, what does an RV lifestyle look for two females that cannot lift things? You in particular cannot crawl underneath things.
There's just so many things I shouldn't be doing anymore. I can't even lift a box, and like as soon as I hold something out in front of me, my back just kills me.
And that was always my go-to person for getting up ladders and climbing onto walls and all that sort of stuff. She now has to rethink every time.
So when Jody got back, we had a massive conversation, like probably conversations that people and couples never have, which is, how many years do we have left? Like, I think the death of a very significant family member that we both loved so dearly, then this news of the osteo and that it's an advanced osteo.
And it's not a life-threatening thing, it's a life-changing
thing. And so it really got us to think about how many active years do we have left in terms of travel. You know, if that's our thing and we love traveling, then what does that actually look like now? You know, do we have 20 years left? You know, I'm 56, Jodie's 55. Yeah, we've probably got 20 years left in us that we could be pretty active in terms of our travels.
Now, to all the 75-year-olds out there, okay, yes, we probably have longer, but
we probably
for
do,
us,
but
we're looking at that real
just
being
being really
super active,
realistic
yeah.
about that. You know, if we're not 100%.
We're not talking about death. We're just talking about
Oh, no.
like rolling a bag along,
God, I hope not.
everything you own.
I would like to be around a little longer than 20 years. Yeah, no, it's just being, actually carrying luggage and moving from place to place, and because that's what we have been doing all these years. But RVing, we really had to address that and go, that's just not going to be practical. If something goes wrong, we're really quite screwed, just the two of us now. So we sort of actually quickly moved on from the RVing thing to sort of look at, okay, what do we do? But it's just been so much going on and so much of a mess and moving around from place to place and not having our stuff. Jodie's just come back and she's really grieving the loss.
I finally got a chance to grieve.
Yeah, because you had been with your mum, so you actually hadn't grieved.
No, I hadn't. But
all.
I also sort of came back in and we really focused on you when I first got back too. So it sort of had kept delaying my own kind of experience.
Yeah, and you really did fall apart, and you needed to. I think part of that upset was the fact that we had left our house and we had no home base anymore. We had no home, and all our stuff is in either with us here, moving from house to house, or it's in a cupboard. And it's like, why did we keep the stuff that we kept? What are we actually even doing? Are we traveling again now, or are we going to get a home base and we're going to rent? So this has been the ongoing backwards and forwards, and there's been arguments and difficult conversations and miscommunications, and it's really been a tough time between us as well. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, just get into line, will you? Yeah, it's been a really, really difficult time for both of us.
And on top of that, you know, the reality of we've really not been earning a lot of money for quite a while, but been spending a lot. And
it's a lot of expenses.
This next 6 months is just full of expenses. You know, I have very stupidly ignored, you know, the request of my dentist to get a clean every 3 months because I have got some periodontal issues, and I haven't done that for 18 months. I mean, just literally feeling like an absolute fool for things like that. So we do have to go to the dentist. Nat needs to get that sorted out before she even looks at what she's going to do about the treatment of her osteo. Thankfully, through a friend, Jen Alley, thank you so much for introducing us to the hormone doctor here in San Miguel de Allende. Big shout out to her. She's just amazing, and you'll get a result on Monday.
Yeah, I've just got blood tests back, but I've got to see her on Monday. Looks like there's an issue with my kidneys.
Coming up with a path, which could be lots of stuff. Yeah, so
so
we'll talk about that when we get to that stage. But this video, we really just wanted to kind of explain where we've been, why we're starting again. And I think, if nothing else, taking the Nat and Jodie's next adventure off, it's just us. This vlog is going to be a vlog. A part of getting started again, even right now, is our wonderful friend Angelito has challenged us to take part in his vlogging boot camp in order to show up. I mean, we do regret that we have traveled the world completely as nomadic turtles, carrying everything that we own since the start of 2013, and we very rarely kept a documentation of it. And one of the conversations we had around this sort of how long have we got kind of, as being fit, active, healthy people to keep being nomadic with, was like, well, what if we do get to a place where we settle down, in our 80s? I want to be able to sit back and watch our videos of the things that we've done. So for me personally, who knows where this will go? I can't say it's going to stay there. But for me personally, doing these daily recordings, it's kind of like a journal, like, here we're at, here's what we're going through emotionally, here's where we're at while we're traveling from town to town, here's where we're at in our decision making, we might change our mind every 5 minutes. I don't know. We don't know if we're staying here in Mexico and getting another rental. We don't know if we're, upgrading the car and looking at sort of doing maybe some car camping if we're physically able to do that. We don't know if we're just going to sell it all, get rid of it all, give it all away, and just start becoming turtles and nomads around the world again. And everything at the moment is based around October, November, so we get our permanente residence in Mexico, which is why we are still here. We are definitely trying to avoid the US at the moment. I'm sorry to all my US friends.
Sorry, US friends. I hope you're going okay out there.
It is not nice up there at the moment.
It's really ugly.
So there's just so much going on. So much going on.
It's a lot of world energy, and I think that sort of also reflects in that personal energy. So if you're feeling that, let us know in the comments like what you're feeling right now, because I think, whatever we're feeling inside is what's reflecting on the outside, is how it works. So it's like there is really chaotic energy in the world right now. We've got Israel that's just bombed Iran, like it's just all happening. And it just seems to be one thing after another, and it's really difficult not to tune into that and go, but I'm just this little person, what do I do about that? And I was talking to my sister about this the other day. It's just, as she said, it's coming back into your own personal space and going, how can I live that makes me happy right now? And it might seem really bad to do that while other people are suffering around you, but at least it's a small step towards a more peaceful place. If at least one person is happy and you're happy, then that does make a little bit more of a peaceful place. So maybe it is just about coming back to our own individual souls right now, and as couples, if you're in a couple, and just making sure that you're okay.
I'm personally on the climb back up to finding happiness again. I felt like I haven't felt it for a little while, and I deserve to be happy. We deserve to be happy.
You definitely do, and I think that's been the hard part about this, is what makes you happy. You always ask that question. It's really easy to say, well, this is what doesn't make me happy, this is what I don't want, and we're really good at doing that. But it's definitely a tougher step to say, this is what does make me happy and where I want to head towards. And I think you've struggled, if I can say that, you've struggled a little bit with that. And that makes it difficult for me, because I don't want to put pressure on you about what I might want to do, because I want to hear what you want to do as well, and so that you're not compromising on what you want. So, as a couple trying to decide what is the next step for us, it is difficult, because you both need to speak up and say, and just lay it on the table, and then at least once it's on the table, we can discuss what are the options. Like if I want to travel the world and you want to stay for another year here, what does that look like? Can we come to some sort of compromise or some... Funnily enough, I feel like we've been so in sync over the years that usually whatever I want is what you want anyway. And so it's actually been pretty flow. But it's just been a little bit rocky lately. So, but I do think it's probably just outside influences coming in and stuff like that. We just need to get back into our own space. And I think this vlog, thank you for listening to all of this, because I think this vlog, hopefully I'm not rambling too much, but...
You are our therapist.
Pretty much. Is helpful, because we're able to talk it out. And Jody just said that. I was like, what do you want to be doing? And she goes, I think I just need to vlog so I can talk it out, because that's what Jody does. I tend to internalize stuff more. Jody talks things out. So you're coming on that journey, basically, of us talking things out. And hopefully it's interesting enough and you can relate to it. I feel like it's relatable. So hopefully it is.
And we'll show you a little bit about what we're seeing along the way.
Yes, I just bought I bought a new 360 camera. So I'm very excited to get into that. That's going to be a new creative project for me. So we're going to have some really good footage along the way as well. When we do get out and about, we will see some really cool things.
The best part about this camera is the way Nat holds it. There's no physical way she can put her thumb or finger over the lens, which is what she tends to do when she takes photos on a camera. So
this is the only way I can do it.
In our storage of all our photos, you'll see that there's a lot more photos of Nat than there is of me, because the ones of me have usually had to be deleted because they'll be like this across something. Unless I do a selfie, then I'm in it as well.
Giant hands.
All right, so no longer calling this Nat and Jodi's Next Adventure, no longer having episodes. We're just going to
It's just us each day.
aim to get a video up every day. We may or may not accomplish that, but we're going to get going, and let us know what you think and
Take
what you
on the
want to
journey.
know about. We're about
what
to
are you
get our
interested in?
Mexican permanent residence visa after being temporary residents for 4 years. And there's a whole other conversation about that. We might even do some reflective conversations about some of the places we've been around the world and how we've navigated it with not a lot of money over the years.
Definitely. Not
But
a lot of money.
we've proved that traveling the world is cheaper than staying in a fixed location. So maybe I just needed to voice that right now in order to
remind you,
convince myself
remind you.
that I don't need to have a home base here in Mexico, because it might be cheaper, or I might want to have a few things because we can have great experiences around the world.
Absolutely.
Anyway, enough now.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.